Welcome friends to this Back to Basics video focusing on building and maintaining strength and flexibility for your back. You know, we're so busy these days, sometimes we forget to take time for self-care, but it's so important to take that time, and especially to take time to take care of your back and build some balance between strength and flexibility in your spine. So we're going to go through a variety of poses. That'll be a really fun way to lengthen your spine, be aware of flexibility, and build some strength. So let's start on our backs. We'll do some pelvic tilts here. For the posterior tilt, think of stretching your tailbone towards your heels. That'll flatten your back. And for the anterior tilt, think of lifting the front hip bones up so your tailbone presses into the earth, creating a little arch under your spine. And we'll do some bridge pose lifts. So place your feet hip distance apart, close to your hips. On your inhale, lift your hips up, reach your arms behind your head. And on your exhale, slowly roll down through your spine, bring your hands back down by your side. Let your breath lead the way as you continue to do these bridge lifts. We're not trying to necessarily go as high as we can, but just notice if your body starts to lift a little bit higher, naturally. Then lift your hips and walk your shoulders inward towards each other. Interlace your fingers behind your back, press down through your hands and your arms. And that'll lift the hips a little bit higher and create a little more openness in your upper back. And slowly lower the hips back down. Bring your feet as close as you can to your hips, maybe even holding your ankles. And lift your hips up again. So if you can't hold your ankles, no big deal. Just reach as far forward as you can with your hands. Slowly lower the hips down and hug your knees into your chest. So it's always nice to take a little break, give yourself a little self-massage. Then rock up into downward facing dog. Keep the belly nice and lifted. And we'll do some spinal rolls. So as you inhale, round your spine. As you lift up on your toes and come forward to plank. And as you exhale, bend your knees, lead back with your hips to down dog. Just keep this spinal wave going. Trying to find more fluidity, more movement, more motion in your back with each wave. And then we'll lower down through chaturanga all the way to the floor. Point your toes. Curl up into your cobra, keeping the back active, back of the shoulder blades drawing together. And sit back into child's pose. You can always come to child's pose at any time in any practice. It's a way of just taking a little break, taking a little rest. Notice your back here. There's a gentle curve. And let your back relax. And then we'll do these same spinal waves in tabletop. So inhale, round forward to cat. And exhale, lead with your hips back to child's pose. Moving slowly and with grace and mindfulness. Try to notice if there's any little stuck places in your back. And just acknowledging that, and the awareness will sometimes release them. Then slide your hands forward into puppy pose, so chest toward the ground, hips up over your knees. Let your upper back relax. Doesn't matter if your chest touches the ground. Like mine is here, your chest might be up, so just make sure your shoulders feel good and your hands are no further than hip width apart. Then inhale, lift your hips up and lower your hips back down, coming into a cobra modification with your arms forward, keeping the shoulders moving back, legs strong to protect your low back. And then lift back into puppy pose. And slide back into child's pose. A big part of any practice is being mindful. How do you feel now? How did the last pose affect a pose that you were just in maybe? Does it feel any different? So we'll come back into puppy pose. Inhale, round forward, lower your hips. Draw the shoulder blades towards each other on your back. Keep the legs strong. Breathe. Feel those places that you can soften into and the places that need to stay strong and engaged. Shift back into your puppy pose and back into child's pose. Resting here with your breath. Inhale back forward to puppy pose. On your next inhale, lift, come forward, lower the hips. Take the shoulders back, feeling the muscles engaging in your back to draw the shoulders back, and lower your chest all the way down to the ground. And release your fingers behind your back, lift your shoulders away from the floor, and lift your chest up off the floor. And lower back down. Inhale, lift, stretching your arms back towards your heels, and exhale, lower. Again, inhale, lift. Use your legs, use your core. Exhale, lower. Reach your arms forward, palms facing in. And on your inhale, reach your right arm, left leg up. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left arm, right leg up. Exhale, lower. Repeat back and forth. Seeing how high you can lift. Maybe one side lifts higher than the other. This is an asymmetrical lift. So we're trying to counter any tendencies for one side to be stronger than the other. So one more time each side. And inhale, lift both arms and both legs up together. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift arms and legs. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift arms and legs, hugging into the midline with both the arms and the legs, using your breath to help lift you up. Next time you lift up, hold the lift. Just kind of swim your arms forward and back, like you're moving through water. Every time you reach your arms back, you get an extra little lift. And then stretch forward again, maintaining the lift with your muscles of your back. And rest. Bring your hands forward, come up onto your fingertips, lift the elbows, lift the shoulders, and using your back muscles, curl your upper back up. Kind of a very similar feeling to puppy pose. If you continue to walk your hands further back towards your hips, it'll bring your chest up a little bit higher, which may work for you today and may not. So you're always welcome to keep your hands in the original position, or you can start bringing them back, seeing how it feels to lift a little bit higher each time you move your hands back. Really using those back muscles, using the leg muscles, using the abdominal muscles. And bring your hands back just under your shoulders and inhale, lift up for your cobra. Exhale, lower down. Bend your left knee, reach back with your left hand for your left foot. And pulse, bringing your left heel a little bit closer and towards your hip or toward the ground, and then releasing back a little bit. If you can get your elbow up in the air, it might be possible for you to spin your fingers towards your toes, and it might not. Just do whatever works for you. Make sure to release the stretch a little bit. So don't just hold an extreme stretch and fight your body's edge, but find the edge and then back off. So there's a play, there's a pulse. Just like the breath, there's an in and an out. Drawing in and a releasing out. And release your foot and rest. If you want, you can bring your feet up over your knees, just windshield wiper your feet back and forth, your legs back and forth. Maybe do circles with your legs, both directions. And then again, reach back, left hand for your left foot. Kick your foot back to lift your chest, and then see if you can lift all your arms and legs up and lower down. Switch sides. So hold your right foot with your right hand, kick back with your foot, and then lift Left arm, left leg up, right arm, right leg up, together. Bring your hands back by your sides and make your way back into child's pose. And take advantage of this time to rest and relax and recalibrate. And then we'll begin some more cat-cow waves. Focusing on the movement between each vertebrae. And we can either do our cat-cows lifting our chest and our tailbone at the same time, or we can do little rolls leading with the pelvis. So I'm kind of combining them here. Just really trying to find fluidity, mobility, flexibility in the spine. And then start to circle your ribs. So the ribs go down, out to the right, back up, over to the left. Reverse the direction of your circles. Again, working on feeling that movement in your spine so that you realize and you can really feel that each vertebrae is separate and individual, but they all move together as a whole. And come back to tabletop. Stretch your left leg back. Right arm forward, and then reach back with your right hand for your left foot and lift up. Lower down. Same thing other side. Switch your right leg back, lift it up. Switch your left arm forward. Bend your right knee, reach back with your left hand for your right foot. Kick your foot back and think of lifting your foot up, lifting your knee up, keeping the knee hugging in, creating space in your back and the shoulders. And come back into tabletop and just move your spine around a little bit. Switch your left leg back again, lift it up, bend your knee. This time reach back with the left hand, so it's the same hand, same foot. Might be a little less stable. So if you fall, no big deal, just get back up on the horse. Hold your foot again, lift up nice and high. Find that space created between your left arm and your left leg. And then just continue to play with that lift. Play with the space. And we'll do the same thing on the right side. So bring the right leg up, grab your foot or your ankle, lift your foot up, lift your leg up, lift your knee up, create space. Come back to tabletop, lift your hips, stretch back, downward facing dog. Inhale, roll forward, lowering your knees. Sit back on your heels. Bend your left elbow, take your right hand and just stretch around the shoulders. And take your blocks. And first we'll start with them on the lowest height. So you place them next to each other. Place your elbows in the center of the blocks, no wider than shoulder distance apart. Bring your palms together. And let your chest relax towards the earth. This is very similar to puppy pose. So you can take a little break and keep them at the same height, or you can roll them up to the next higher height if you would like. Again, keep pressing the palms together, hugging the elbows in, hips over your knees, let your chest relax towards the earth. And you can adjust the position of your knees like I just did to find a place that feels comfortable for you. Open up this whole posterior chain in our back, up into our armpits. Now, if you want to go even deeper, and this is not necessary at all, you can bring the blocks up to the highest height. And at this height, they're going to be more wobbly, so if you let your elbows splay out to the sides, the blocks are going to tip apart. So keep your elbows hugging in. You can bring your thumbs back by your neck if you like. You can take a little break and go back to a lower height. However, if you want to continue raising the blocks, you can raise it onto the highest height, and this one is like the truthful height. Because if you let your elbows splay out, the blocks are going to come off balance and they'll split apart. They'll be very unstable. So keep hugging your elbows in, releasing your chest down. If you feel any pinching or aggravation in your shoulders, back out. Go to a lower height, or Just make those little modifications until it feels pretty good. And then we'll come off the blocks. Rest in child's pose. Again, notice how your whole back feels. And tuck your toes, stretch back, downward facing dog. Come up onto your tiptoes, walk your feet forward to your hands. Bend your knees, come into a squat. Make your way back into child's pose. And again, some more little cat-cow waves. It's so important to have this mobility in your spine. And to not just rush through it, but see if you can get into that upper back, just like we were doing with puppy pose and with our elbows on the blocks. Really open up here. And then move in the opposite direction. And just think of being fluid with your spine. So your spine is like this living creature, moving, exploring. You can shift your hips from side to side. You can do circles with your ribs. Just play here. Move in ways that feel good to you. Working out little kinks. Getting into those places that we don't move that often because we do too much sitting and not enough moving of the spine and opening up the upper back and kind of backbend type actions, or usually more forward kind of actions. And walk your knees forward, sit back on your heels. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, bring your left hand down, reach your right arm diagonally across, and switch sides. So we're getting a big stretch on the side of the ribs. A little bit of a back bend. Just moving fluidly with the breath. And then we'll lift the hips up as we stretch our arm across. Engage your core to help you lift the hips. Feel that nice stretch on the side body and back bend as we lift. Now we'll play with camel or ustrasana. So you want to tuck your toes, and you can always use blocks on either side of your feet for a little more height. And place your hands on your hips and use your thumbs to tilt your tailbone towards the back of your knees. And then lift your ribs up, so we're trying to create space in the low back. This is not so much about reaching your hands down to come into the full back bend as it is lifting your chest up, keeping space in the low back. Using your back muscles, using your legs to protect your low back, and keeping that upward lift. And then, only then if it feels safe, you can release one hand at a time to your blocks or your heels. Keep the chest lifting and lead with your chest to come out. So we're going to do this a couple more times. You can keep using the blocks if that was like challenging enough for you, or you can go for your heels this time. Remember to keep that chest lifting, keep the legs engaged and strong. Keep the upper back muscles working to help you lift, and lead with the chest to come back. This time, if you want to go a little deeper, you can point your toes. That means the heels will be a little bit lower. Again, lift up through the ribs, draw the tailbone down. Keep the space in your low back. Lift your chest high. Tuck your chin just a little bit so your head just doesn't get thrown back. Reach back for your heels, lift up through the chest. And lift back up. Sit back on your heels. Stretch back, downward facing dog. And take a little time in your down dog and come up onto your tiptoes. Walk your feet forward. Sink your hips coming back into malasana or squat. Squatting is really good for your back, for your ankles, for your calves, for your hips. Lower your hips onto the mat. Take your hands behind you, fingers pointing towards your hips or any direction that's comfortable for you, and lift your hips up into a reverse tabletop. Lower the hips. Press to your hands, open up through the chest, just like we did in Ustrasana, and then lower your hips towards your heels. Inhale, lift back up. Exhale. If you want, you can try and swing your hips back behind your hands, trying not to touch your hips on the ground. So you really have to push into your hands, engage your deep core muscles to do this. You can always just lower your hips to the ground, or if your hips touch a little bit on the way back, that's perfectly okay. And lower onto your backs, hugging your knees into your chest. Gently rock the knees around, giving yourself a little self-massage, both directions. We'll do some gentle twists. So it's always good to twist after doing some back bend. So just slowly roll your knees over to the right, turn your head to the left, and let everything relax. If you need some support underneath your legs, you can either put a block between your knees or a pillow or a blanket underneath your bottom leg. The idea here is to just simply relax. Tune into your breath. Let the exhale help you to find your way deeper into your twist, or in a more relaxed way into your twist. We're really trying not to effort here, but just to be in the moment and appreciate this moment. So inhale back to center and exhale, twist the legs to the left, head to the right. Let your back relax. So everything is resting on the earth. Connecting more and more with the deep energetic force of Mother Nature, of the immensity of the earth. Appreciating our connection to the earth. And again, allowing ourselves just to be in the moment. Listening to the sounds of nature. And inhale back up to center. Give yourself one last hug. And come into Happy Baby. So you don't have to hold your feet in Happy Baby. If it's comfortable to hold your feet and you can keep your shoulders and hips on the floor, hold your feet. Otherwise, hold whatever part of your leg is accessible. And then we'll stretch out for Savasana. So take a little time to make sure your back is comfortable. There's no pinching in your low back. That might mean wiggling your hips a little bit in the direction of your feet and your shoulders a little bit in the direction of your head, so that you can truly relax. And feel the spaciousness of your back. Appreciate a healthy spine. And if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Hit the like button. Share this video with your friends. And let me know how you felt. Let me know what you liked about this video. Have a great day.